कुंज बिहारी जय राधा गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaur Hari Bol. ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ऑफ चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की, ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, द्वारकापुरी धाम की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, श्री मायापुर नवदीप धाम की, गंगामय यमुनामयी की, भक्ति तुलसी देवी की, समावेत भक्त वृंद की. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuvanmelitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Jiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Bhakta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया, भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Welcome all of you for the Srimad Bhagavatam class today morning. Is it big enough for you? So we are reciting the shloka from 4th canto, 21st chapter, text number 37. मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महर्दिभिः, तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च, देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां, कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानां। मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महर्दिभिः, तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च, देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां, कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानां। मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महर्दिभिः, तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च, देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां, कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानां। मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महर्दिभिः, तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च, देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां, कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानां। मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महर्दिभिः, तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च, देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां, कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानां। मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महर्दिभिः, तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजा. Mataji's? Ma, never do it. Jatu, at any time. Tejaha, supreme power. Prabhavet, exhibit. Maha, great. Riddhibihi, by opulence. Tidikshaya, by tolerance. Tapasa, penance. Vidyaya, by education. Cha, also. Dedipyamane, upon those who are already glorified. Ajita Devatanam, Vaishnavas, or the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kule, in the society. Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Shri Jagannath Sudra Maharani ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki. Rajakulat, greater than the royal family. Dvijanam, of the Brahmanas. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are personally glorified by their characteristic powers of tolerance, penance, knowledge and education. Titikshaya, tapasa, vidyaya cha, he says. By dint of all this spiritual assets, Vaishnavas are more powerful than royalty. So Rajakule is royalty and Dvijanam is the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. It is therefore advised that the princely order not exhibit its material prowess before these two communities and should avoid offending them. Now, if you go back to the verse, it's easy to understand. See, Mahajatu Tejaha Prabhaven. Don't, Prabhaven means to influence. Mahariddhibhi means, Riddhibhi means opulences, wealth, Aishwarya. So, using one's wealth, one should not try to, or wealth or power, one should not try to influence. Who? He says, Ajita Devatanam, which are Dvijanam. The Brahmanas or Vaishnavas, they are called as earthly gods. And Dedipyamane, one meaning of Dedipyamane means to shine. And with what qualities they shine? Titikshaya, tapasa, vidyayacha. They have tolerance, they perform penances, and education and knowledge. These are their opulences. So two opulences are compared. One opulence is Mahariddhibi, which is material opulence. Like Daksha Prajapati has material opulence. When he is entering the assembly, everybody is getting up and offering obeisances, and he has a lustre on the face, and he is a Prajapati, he is a king, and everybody salutes him. That is Mahariddhibi. On the other hand, Lord Shiva has Titikshaya, Tapasa, Vidyaya. He is a great Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. So he has tolerance and penances and wealth of wisdom and education. Even Narada and Kumaras go to Shiva in Kailash to sit down and hear from him. So Dedipyamane, that's what Shiva shines with. So Shiva has spiritual opulences and Daksha Prajapati has material opulences. So he thought material opulences are superior to spiritual opulence, and therefore he offended Shiva. Mahajatu Teja Prabhaven, says. Do not try to offend great souls who may appear to be poverty stricken. Like Sudama Brahmana, for example, if he's walking in the road, he may look like good for, he look like a useless fellow or a weak fellow. He's wearing tattered clothes, he's having a skinny body. When Vishwamitra and Vasishta met each other, that's what Vishwamitra thought. Vishwamitra thought, I am a king, Kaushik. And here is a Brahmana, Vasishta, who has a Kamadhenu. And he is a skinny fellow, what can he do? I have a kavach, I have sword, I have bow and arrow, I have my chariot, I have my army with me. And he only has a small hut He's a poor, Brahmin living in a hut. But his Kamadhenu is able to supply unlimited amount of food. So he said, either you give it or I will take it. Like that he said. So at that time, that Sabala, that Kamadhenu cow told Vasishta, oh sir, you gave me permission to defeat this fellow, Kaushika Raja, along with his army. You say, go ahead. If you are not able to protect me, allow me to protect myself. She asked permission. Vasishta said yes. And from her eyes and mouth, she produced so many soldiers and army, which completely defeated Kaushika Raja along with his army and everything. Then he understood, oh, this Brahmana has a cow which has such mystical powers. Then he went into the forest to perform penances. After severe penance, he got a lot of powers. Again, he came to attack Vasishta with weapons. And Vasishta came out of the hut, he started throwing weapons at him. Vasishta took his Brahmana staff, that stick which they keep like this, no? And he absorbed all the weapons into that. And he became ashamed. He ran away. Vishwamitra. Again, he went to forest and said, what's the use of my penance? I should become great. So again, he became great. Brahma came and said, earlier you were Raja Rishi, now I will make you Maharishi. He said. So you are now, he said, what's the use of Maharishi? I want to become Brahma Rishi. He said, no, that's a very advanced post. It's like a new boy going to a company and saying, make me a manager now. They'll say, you're not even a GT. You want to become a project manager now, immediately, without doing any work. He said, that will take long time. In the meantime, he fell prey to Menaka once. And second time, he fell prey to Trishanku, giving him a Trishanku Swarga. Third time, he fell prey to Ramba, on whom he became angry. First, he became victim of lust. Then he became victim of pride. Then he became victim of anger. And because Ramba came and offered some parijata flowers over his head, when he looked at her, he understood, hey, this beautiful woman has come to allure me and make me lose my tapavalam. He became extremely angry and he caused her to become a stone. In this way, due to anger, he lost his tapavalam. So 3 times he lost tapavalam. But the best part of Vishwamitra is he never gave up. That is one thing we can learn in our lives. So again and again, he made an effort and increased his tapavalam and went back to Vasishta to attack. Eventually understood Vasishta is not an ordinary personality. And later on, he told Vasishta, when I came as a king to you, I thought I am like a lion. Yes, indeed, I was a lion. And I thought you were a squirrel. Yes, indeed, you look like a squirrel. But a squirrel can go to the topmost portion of the tree, which a lion cannot go. That I realized later, he said. So therefore, I understood that the Brahma Tejas is more powerful than Kshatriya Tejas. Kshatriya Tejas is physical, Brahma Tejas is divine. He said, you have the sacred power. Titikshaya, tapasa, vidyaya cha. Like that he said. That's what he's saying. With those things, he is dedipyamane. He glows with a spiritual shine. Therefore, they are called Ajita Devatanam, indefeatable gods on earth. Kule Swayam Rajakula Vijana. So the Rajakula should not try to subdue the Dvijakula. That is the main theme here. Let's see the purport, what Prabhupada said. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki. Prithu Maharaj has explained in the previous verse the importance of devotional service for both the rulers and the citizens of the state. So the king as well as citizens both should practice devotional service. So when a king rises in the morning, along with his wife and sons and daughters, he would go to the temple. And oftentimes, Prabhupada says in another verse, third canto, third canto, I think it is, you can check 3:22:33. Check it. I think it is 3:22:33, I think. What is that? Emperor Swayambhu Manu. So, there in one of the Prabhupada says the king had a huge palace and within the, what is the word? Correct. This is the verse, yeah. 3:22:33. That's a homework for all of you. You can go through it yourself. So you can read, it's a very beautiful purport. Yes, that's the purport exactly. 3:22, 33. You can easily remember the number also, isn't it? So especially those who are grihasthas and those who are in leading positions like any kind of leadership, for them this verse is very important. 322, 33. Purport, a long purport, but it's very good purport it is. In that purport, Prabhupada says how the temples were inside the palace quarters. And like if this is a palace, the temple would be very much in the same campus. Even the public was allowed to go in. Although there is a lot of security and concerns and everything, still they were allowed to come to the temple and bow down because the king himself would be worshipping in the morning. He will, just like we hear about Ambarish, Savai Manak Krishna Padaravindi or Vachans Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane. Imagine if the king comes and sits in the Bhagavatam class. Many others will come and sit. Hey, king himself is coming. So we should definitely come. They will come. So in this way, it's important for both the rulers and the citizens of the state. Like Janak Maharaj used to attend the class regularly, daily. There is evidence. You read that. Ambarish Maharaj used to attend. Even his sons and daughters would attend. And that's how you hear when Krishna got the letter from Rukmini, he asked that Brahman, has Rukmini seen me? Brahman said, no, never. Then how does she know about me? She's writing a letter to me. Okay, read the first, what she has written. The first verse he read. Shrutva gunan bhavana sundara shanvatam te nirvishya karna vivarai haratong rupam drisham drishimatam akhilartha labham tvayyachyuta pishati chittam apatrapam me. That's the first verse she had written. It says, Shrutva Gunan, by hearing about your qualities, Bhuvana Sundara, oh, the most beautiful Lord in the entire universe. Bhuvanesha Sundara means in the entire universe. Bhuvananam Sundara means in all the millions of universes. You are the most beautiful. Shinvatam te, I knew about you only by hearing about you. Only by hearing. That is what Prabhupada tells about his followers also. If people read the Srimad Bhagavatam and hear about the glories of Krishna, they will develop love for Krishna, just like Rukmini developed love for Krishna simply by hearing about Krishna. And then she says, Nirvishyakarana vivarair haratonga tapam. As the Krishna Katha entered my ears, all my miseries, they all dried up. They all went far away. She's saying, no more miseries. If any devotee says, I am miserable, you can first check with them, are you hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly? Because all that is troublesome to the heart will be driven out. It's like, if somebody has, Prabhuji, I have switched on the tube light, still the room is dark. Is it possible? Is it possible? If tube light is switched on, room cannot be dark. Most of the people who write mails to me also with problems, I used to ask them, are you reading Bhagavatam daily, regularly? It's Prabhuji, first I want to sort out my problem. First I want to remove the darkness and then I'll switch on the tube light. If you say like that. Is it not foolishness? You switch on the tube light, darkness will automatically go away. That's what she is telling. Nirvishyakarna vivarair haratonga tapam rupam drishimatham akhilartha labham. Anybody who has eyes in this world, the eyes are given to us only to see the beauty of Krishna, she's telling. Is the object worthy to be seen by the eyes of all living entities. Tvayyachyuta vishati chittam apatrapam me. My mind and heart have entered into your name, form, qualities, pastimes and activities simply by hearing over and over. Therefore, the king and the citizens of the state would come together to hear. So, in the Bhishmaka was the king. He also arranged for Srimad Bhagavatam class daily. And who was sitting in the first row here, hearing regularly? Rukmini. So, Rukmini was very attentive. So, because when she became attentive to hear about glories of Krishna, Krishna said, I also became attentive to her devotion to me. He also says. So, you take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 10 steps towards you. But his steps are Vishwarupa steps, big step. We may take small baby steps and he will take 10 Vishwarupa steps. Very quickly he will come. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while instructing Sri Rupa Goswami, has compared the devotional service of the Lord with a creeper. A creeper has a feeble stem and requires the support of another tree to grow, and while growing, it requires sufficient protection so that it may not be lost. You see, why we say Bhakti Lata instead of Bhakti tree, Bhakti Lata we say. Why? Because Lata is a creeper which always intertwines itself um, around a tree for support. Otherwise, the Lata will be, you know, waving in the wind. Is it not true? Similarly, Krishna's lotus feet is what the Bhakti Lata encircles right from in this world. So Krishna's lotus feet is experienced by taking shelter of Guru's lotus feet, because we cannot connect with Krishna directly. Through Hari Guru Vaishnavas, we connect with Krishna. Just like we say, watering the root of the tree. You don't water the root of the tree by taking the root out. You don't put water like this. Root is inside the ground. You water the root through the sand. Similarly, through the Hari Guru Vaishnavas, our love for Krishna reaches Krishna through service to Hari Guru and Vaishnavas. So, in this way, gradually, the creeper which is taking shelter of the tree becomes stronger and stronger over a period of time, and then it reaches the end of the universe and cracks the shell of the universe, goes to Brahma Jyoti and goes beyond and goes to spiritual world. There it produces the fruit of Krishna Prem. There. Okay, it has to do, but you have to be here watering the Bhaktilata creeper, Mahaprabhu said. Here you keep on daily hearing, daily chanting, rendering devotion service. When we are doing that, gradually the creeper keeps growing, growing, growing. Just like any of you have done gardening, you will see. Initially, when you sow the seed, it germinates. Then it sprouts, sprout comes. You feel very happy to see that initial green thing coming out. Small one. You keep watering, it grows, grows, grows. Because we used to make this jandu plants, it'll go vertical like this, very beautifully. And it'll give out various colorful jandu flowers. So, when you keep watering, it keeps growing. But we have to also protect that plant with some fence also. Otherwise, a goat comes and puts them out, it'll be spoiled. Or an elephant walks over it, it'll trample upon it, or it'll even uproot it also, isn't it? So you need a fence for that. And what is a fence? Our Kaviraj Goswami explains, the fence is surround yourself with pure devotees, he says. Now, generally, pure devotees, when you say the word, immediately you think all only sannyasis and gurus. That's what immediately comes in our mind, generally. Actually, there is a Kanishta pure devotee, Madhyama pure devotee, Uttama pure devotee. Kanishta, the pure devotee actually is used by Kaviraj Goswami in the sense that one who surrenders only to Krishna and to no one else. He or she has taken Krishna as the life and soul. They may be still working on improving other things, but they accepted Krishna's shelter completely. And also, they are also sadhakas who want to advance in spiritual life. They are also looking for association. So we have to actually surround ourselves in the assembly of devotees, and also associate with those who are little more advanced than us, Svatovara, those who can clarify our doubts. We should not associate with only an equal who has similar doubts like us, because two people bringing doubts together, both will leave and go away. So we need people who are a little more elevated than us, who can actually clear the doubt and uplift us. And of course, the association of the Uttama Adhikaris is most sought. Anya Ninda Adi Shunyam Hridamapi Sangalabdya. In the Upadeshamrita, he says that the pure devotees are, Uttama Adhikaris are such advanced devotees that they never find fault with any jiva. Even in jiva afflicted by millions of faults, they still see the good quality of surrender to Krishna. The jiva is a part and parcel of Krishna, they see like that. And in case you don't get this association, the next best association is Madhyamadhikari association. Why? Madhyamadhikari finds fault, but Madhyamadhikaris will also give you a clue on how to remove the fault. Whereas the Kanishka Adhikari will point the fault and leave you. So we need a person who can not only point out faults, one can also give solution to the fault. That is Madhyamadhikari. So, in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, here he says, while describing the system of protection for the creeper of devotional service, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has especially stressed protection from offenses unto the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. Such offenses are called Vaishnava Aparad. Aparad means offense. If one commits Vaishnava Aparadas, all of his progress in devotional service will be checked. Even though one is very much advanced in devotional service, if he commits offenses at the feet of a Vaishnava, his advancement is all spoiled. And then he gives an example. In the Shastras, it is found that a very great yogi, Durvasa, when he committed Vaishnava Aparada, and thus for 1 full year he had to travel all over the universe, even to Vaikuntha Loka, to defend himself from the offense. At last, even when he approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha, he was refused protection. Therefore, one should be very careful about committing offenses at the feet of a Vaishnava. The most grievous type of Vaishnava Aparad is called Guru Aparad, which refers to offenses at the lotus feet of spiritual master. In the chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Guru Aparad is considered the most grievous offense. Guru Ravajna Shruti Sastra Nindanam. Padma Purana says that. Among the 10 offenses committed against the chanting of the holy name, the first offenses are disobedience of the spiritual master and blasphemy of the Vedic literature, he says. So, Guru Ravajna Shruti Shastra Nindanam. That's the verse. So, here he says that while developing our devotional creeper, do you want to be cheerful in devotional service? You want to practice it, you want to be jolly in devotional service, and you want to become fixed up devotee, you want to grow. There are two big enemies to a practicing devotee. One is material attachment, where we are practicing devotional service, but we are wetting our consciousness, just like firewood when it is dry. Imagine in a rainy season like this, you put firewood in the backyard of your house, and then when the rain water falls on that, then the firewood becomes damp. And then you put it in the furnace, will it give out fire or smoke? Smoke. That's the problem. So our bhakti also becomes dampened by material attachments. And another great enemy for a practicing devotee is fault finding to begin with, and eventually ends up in blasphemy of the devotees. Being extremely critical of devotees. Some people say, how can a devotee do like this? How can a devotee do like that? Outsiders are better. In my office, there are colleagues who are more humble than this devotee. This devotee is so arrogant. And I have karmis in my office who are not even chanting one round, but they are much better than this fellow. They are so humble, they are so gentle, they are so responsible to family. Look at this devotee wearing tilak and kantimala and is, not at all humble, very harsh of speech and, irresponsible and this and that. So when they compare the non-devotees to the devotee, gradually Krishna will take this devotee away from devotee association. Okay, you want the non-devotee association, be with them only. And by Krishna will plant material desires in the heart of such offenders and take them away from devotee association. Like that Prabhupada writes in one purport. You may wonder why Krishna plants material desires in the heart of a devotee. Is it not a cruelty? Because by planting material desires in the heart of a devotee will get diverted, distracted. But Krishna is saving the devotee from aparad. Which is more severe? Aparad is severe or material attachment is severe? Aparad is more severe. So Krishna takes away. So one shouldn't offend. So one should know properly what is the meaning of offending a devotee. So I will give a brief understanding of what is an offense. Like, one should not criticize the jati buddhi. One born in, for example, one is born in a country like America or say Mongolia. Somebody was eating a dog eater before. Now he has become a devotee. So you should not keep on saying, you ate dogs, you ate dogs. You can't keep saying. So they have changed it now. Don't attach importance to jati. Like India also, there are some who are not born in Brahman family. But when they come to ISKCON, they become better than Brahmanas, correct? They wear tilak, they wear kantimala, they chant. There are people born in a non-Brahmana family, lower status. But when they become Krishna's devotees in ISKCON, they become much better than Brahmanas also. But so one Brahmana father had come to Pune, one brahmachari's father. He was taken by the brahmachari to one house where they were also speaking the same mother tongue. So the father of the brahmachari felt very happy. So they gave prasad and everything. On the way back, the father was asking his son. They were very good people, very kind people, very friendly. I liked the family. And then he asked him, I think they must be Brahman only, correct? No? They are Brahmanas only, no? Which Brahman? Because Brahman also there are categories, correct? No? So which Brahmana he belongs to? He was asking. So the brahmachari said, he told their caste, what caste they are. And that is the lower caste. As soon as he heard it, he told to stop the vehicle. He got alarmed. How did you take me to such a house to eat in the house of somebody who is of a lower caste? Brahmachari said, no, now they are Vaishnavas now. Vaishnava is better than, because Prahlad Maharaj says, Viprad Vishad Guna Yuta Taravinda Nabha Padar Vinda Vimukha Shvapachambarishtham Manye Tadarpita Mano Vachane Hitartha Pranam Punati Sakulam Natu Bhuri Mana. Prahlad is saying, yeah, devotee Chandala is by far superior to a non-devotee Brahmana. You understand? A Brahman who is not a devotee, he is inferior. A person who was a Chandala dog eater before, now he is chanting Hare Krishna, wearing tilak and kantimala, and is a devotee. He is superior to even a non-devotee Brahman. So the Brahmachari quoted that to father. This did not hit the father hard at all. Because he was more attached to his Brahmanatva. So then the son was arguing with the father. Oh, you are saying Brahman. See, near our home, the other Brahmanas are eating omelette and all that, correct? No? They are eating eggs, they are eating omelette. Some of them are going to America and eating anything. Why do you simply attach importance to Brahmana? Father became angry. Hey, you are talking against me? So this is actually called Jati Buddhi, correct? No? So, and in the same manner, we should not talk ill of a devotee, keeping the previous background in mind. So imagine you came to Krishna consciousness and your school friend also became Krishna conscious now. Both of them meet each other. And now your school friend is advancing better than you. And everybody is glorifying him. And you should not say, hey, I know he in his school days used to smoke cigarette, I know. You should not talk about the, previous life of a devotee and criticize him like that. Yeah. Similarly, sometimes even amongst Vaishnava dealings, some manager becomes angry with you while speaking. Sometimes you find that. Or you find a devotee, even though everybody is given 2 gulab jamuns, he keeps on asking, can I get one more, one more? You might think, what kind of devotee is he? He's standing 16 rounds, he can't control his tongue, can't control his senses, greedy for more. So sometimes you find in a devotee little greedy mentality or little angry mentality, but these are all lost traces of impurities in a devotee. We should overlook it. Just like if a devotee is under a shower, all the dirty things in the body are going away. Don't criticize, hey, your body is dirty this side or that side. You can't say that. He's already under the shower. So in this way, don't criticize devotees for the last traces of sin. Yeah. And also sometimes devotees slip due to unpremeditated fall down, we call it. Like for example, he's coming to temple regularly. Suddenly the devotee is missing. 6 months not seen. Everybody is calling, please come. He's cutting the phone of everybody. Not lifting the phone because he is in Maya now. Some people, they go home, they watch TV, they go with their friends and get spoiled. After 6 months, he gets solid kicks from Maya and he comes running back to temple. So again you see him at the temple. How you should deal with the devotee? Imagine you ask him, hey, 6 months were you in Maya? If you ask like that, what will happen? He will never come back. He will run away again. So he says that some or other somebody slips in spiritual life. Like you look at a mother or a father, when they make a child to stand up and walk, a toddler, the child is sayataka, like they're trying to walk. Many times the child is catching the wall, he falls back. So parents enjoy the child falling down and ridicule the child. Will they ever do that? So a growing devotee is also to be seen like a toddler. Actually, parents feel pity for the child. When the child is not able to walk properly, after some time they pick up the child on the shoulder. So parents want to see the child succeed, or parents want to see the child fail. So what do we want to do? We want to see Vaishnavas succeed, or we want to point fingers to the failing Vaishnavas and say that, hey, now he has failed, look at him. We want to ridicule. So therefore, we can remember this, PLUS, we can remember. P is, previous to coming to Krishna consciousness, they had some bad habits. Don't point them out. L stands for lost traces of sins like greed for gulab jamun or anger, exhibiting anger momentarily. Just overlook it. And U stands for unpremeditated fall down. So don't point out unpremeditated fall down, like I told you just now, toddler. And S stands for social background. Don't worry too much about jati. One man after the Bhagavatam class came to me and said, Swamiji, I think you must be born in a Brahman family. Am I right? He said. I said, we don't attach importance to that. No, you recite shlokas very nicely. I think he must be Brahman. Please tell me, he has to. I said, I will tell you I am born in Brahman family or not if you chant 16 rounds. I don't know. Again, after 6 months he came. He's only chanting one round. I said, come to 16, then I will tell you. Later on, when he came to 16, he stopped asking that question. Because he had read Prabhupada's purports. So, why I am saying this is Jati Buddhi. Vaishnavi Jati Buddhi. So, therefore, he is saying that the offenses are committed due to any of these four. In the same manner, Padma Purana also says, even if you don't feel joy upon seeing a Vaishnava, it's one of the offenses. If you don't feel joy, like morning, if you wake up in the morning, you look at a Vaishnava and say, early morning I'm looking at the face of this fellow. If you think like that, that is also offense. That means we should not maintain any vengeance towards any living entity. We should actually see the easiest way to do this, I will tell you, is see every soul as completely pure, 100% pure. What is impure is not the soul, the covering over the soul. For example, imagine you have a taste for one color dress, another color dress you don't like. Some people wear gaudy dress. You know gaudy dress? Gaudy means, like sometimes in villages you find people wear, red or yellow. You've seen that? Certain type of dresses they wear, some people. So you may not like the dress of a person, but you don't hate the person. Correct, no? In the same manner, when you talk about devotee having impurity, just covering over the soul. So if you can see the soul, therefore it is said, hate not the sinner, hate the sin, it is said. So those are some of the tips. Now, coming to the specific point of Brahman and Kshatriya here, if you see, Shringi was a Brahman. He offended Rajakulam. Correct, no? He offended whom? Parikshit. That means he is an inexperienced, uncultured, immature Brahman. Prabhupada writes. These words are used by Prabhupada in his purports. Immature boy, uncultured Brahman, inexperienced, he writes. Bala Buddhi, with which he cursed. So here is a problem where the Brahmana is cursing Parikshit. But how is Parikshit responding to that? Parikshit was capable of counter cursing him back, but he did not do. He says he was very tolerant. Similarly, you find Durvasa Muni is another Brahman. He is creating trouble for Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish just folded the palm and remembered Lord Vishnu and didn't retaliate back, although he was capable of retaliating. He also didn't do. He just depended on the Lord. So these are all examples of people who are extremely tolerant kings, like Ambarish. So because they knew that the Brahman is a representative of the Supreme Lord and they have to be respected. Now anybody reading these pastimes may think, hey, this Brahman is doing such a blunder. How is it that you say we have to just tolerate it? Like for example, Ashwatthama is so-called Brahman. He's a Dvijabandhu, born in a Brahman family. But he's acting like a Kshatriya. And he did many atrocities against the Pandava family. Like for example, he killed the 5 children of Draupadi. Later on, he sent 2 Brahmastras, one to kill Pandavas, one to kill Parikshit, the last child. What kind of Brahman is that? So here it is said that the Rajakulam should not act against the Brahmakulam, it is said. So should they go on tolerating? But Pandavas didn't tolerate. Pandavas had to punish Ashwatthama. Correct, no? Take him to, they arrested him. And they didn't kill him because it will become Brahma Hatya, he should not be killed. Okay, they didn't kill him, but punished him suitably. So now these are extreme examples of Brahmanas behaving improperly. So therefore, when we read such verses like this, we should know which is the type of Brahman who should be dealt with great respect by the Rajakulam. And that should be known. For example, you all know Jamadagni. He also had a cow. And who wanted their cow? Karthavirajan, high race king. One high race king came there. Karthavirajan with 1,000 hands So this suits him very well, this particular verse, because he was capable of, defeating even Ravana very easily. He arrested Ravana actually. He put Ravana behind the bars. It's a very powerful king, high king. So now when he went to the ashrama of Jamadagni, he saw the cow. He forcibly snatched and took the cow away. The result was later on, Parshuram, defeated him in battle and killed him also. You will see that. That is a very fitting example for this verse. That just because you are a Kshatriya, you have a physical prowess, you cannot do balatkar to a Brahman who is very weak physically, and one who may not have so much, soldiers to retaliate back. That's one example. Also, you can read Ndriga Raja, Ndriga, Maharaj Ndriga, if you see that pastime, the last part of that pastime, so we will just locate that for you, just 1 minute. I'll show you that verse, because then instead of me saying it, it will be better you directly hear from the. See here. Lord is speaking toward the end. We will only read the translations, okay? Lord Krishna said, no, okay? We'll make it big for you. Please read this, see the translation. Lord Krishna said, how indigestible is the property of a Brahman, even when enjoyed just slightly and by one more potent than fire. What then to speak of kings who try to enjoy it, presuming themselves lords? So, that means Brahmana's property should not be stolen by a king, he's saying. Lord is saying, Naham halahalam manye visham yasya pratikriya brahmasvam hi visham proktam nasya prati vidir bhuvi. He's saying that I do not consider halahala to be real poison because it has an antidote. But a Brahmana's property, when stolen, can truly be called poison, for it has no antidote in this world, he says. It means one who takes a Brahmana's property thinking to enjoy it has actually taken the most deadly poison. And then he says, Hinasti vishamattaram vakniradbih prashambyati kulam samulam dahati brahmasvarani pavakaha. He's telling, poison kills only the person who ingests it. And an ordinary fire may be extinguished with water. But the fire generated from the kindling wood of a Brahmana's property burns the thief's entire family down to the root, he says. Yeah. Brahmasvam duranugnatam bhuktam hanti tripurusham prasahyatu balad bhuktam dasha purvan dashaparan. Repeatedly one word is coming in this slokas I observed, Brahmasvam. Brahmasvam means a spiritual money it is. It's a divine money. Because the money in the hand of a Brahmana is used for Lord's service. For example, if a Brahmana has a cow like Jamadagni, what he will do? He will take the milk, offer it to Krishna and then drink it. And then when he gets, ghee out of it, he will pour it in the sacrificial fire and perform the yajna, which is meant for the pleasure of Vishnu. So, and also Brahmana or a Vaishnava is considered a very harmless, not only a harmless member of the society, they are selfless and detached and pure and austere and divine and also well-wishers of the society by giving advice to the king, by giving the wisdom about the Lord to the general masses of the people and taking very little from this world. They don't enjoy much. Their expenditure is very minimal. Prabhupada says in the Vedic times, the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, they lived very simple lives. They actually, like when Yuan Chuang came to India, historian, he came to know from Chandragupta that Chanakya doesn't live in a palace. He lives in a hut inside the forest. And a small hut he was living, but he was running the whole country. Chanakya was actually giving suitable advice to Chandragupta. So, because Brahmana doesn't store anything for tomorrow, he is dependent on the Lord fully. And also he is the advisor to the king. Actually, Brahmanas are compared to the head in the society. We are not talking about born Brahmanas. A son of a Brahmana is not a Brahmana. Only a Brahmana who has qualities of a Brahmana is a Brahmana. Is son of a doctor? Is son of a lawyer? Unless they qualify. Same with Brahman also. Simply wiring a 25 paisa secretary doesn't make us Brahmins. There was one program of BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute, scientist program in Calcutta. His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was organizing. So one man came to the stage with coat, suit, boot, tie and everything and shook hands with him. Maharaj asked, "What's your good name?" He said, "I am Goswami," he was telling. So he comes from a Goswami family. But now Goswamiji has become scientist now. And Goswami doesn't know one word in Sanskrit now. So people have names. You have seen people having names like Trivedi, Dvivedi, Chaturvedi. If any of you have the name, please don't get offended by this. But I'm just telling an example. People have names. Even there is a name Mahajan also, surname. People have Mahajan, people have surname Prabhu. You heard that? Yeah. And by seeing some surnames, you can also see they are coming from Brahman families, like Saraswat, for example. That kind of names and all, that people have such names. But names are there, but they are not studying the Vedas. And they are not chanting the names. They are not worshipping Shaligram Shila at home. They are not uttering the Vedic mantras. They are into engineering and medical and chartered accountants and all those things nowadays. Therefore, son of a Brahman is not Brahman unless he qualifies. So that I am also qualifying what we are speaking about, so that you will not imagine an ordinary person as Brahman, correct, no? And then here he is saying here, you see what he says. If a person enjoys a Brahmana's property without receiving due permission, that property destroys 3 generations of his family. But if he takes it by force or gets the government or other outsiders to help him usurp it, then 10 generations of his ancestors and 10 generations of his descendants are all destroyed, he's saying. That means one should not usurp the property of an innocent Brahman. And then he's saying, Raja no Rajalakshmyandha Natmapatam Vichakshate Nirayam Yebi Manyante Brahmaswam Sadhu Balishaha. He's telling, members of the royal order, blinded by royal opulence, failed to foresee their own downfall, childishly hankering to enjoy a Brahmana's property. They are actually hankering to go to hell. They usurp, because Brahmana is very easy to usurp his property because he is physically weak and politically he may not be strong. He may be just doing his chanting, reading scriptures, having a chatush party under a tree, having some 20-30 students teaching them. So it becomes easy for a king or the government ministers to usurp his property. But if they do that, they are actually putting themselves in a dangerous situation. For as many years as there are particles of dust touched by the tears of generous Brahmanas who have dependent families and whose property is stolen, uncontrolled kings who usurp a Brahmana's property are cooked along with their royal families in the hell known as Kumbi Pak. They are cooked also in the Kumbi Pak hell. Cooked means, I think they must be put in frying pan, I think, like puri, like that. Swadattam paradattam va Brahma Vrityam Harechayah Shashti Varsha Sahasrani Vishtayam Jayate Krimihi. Saying, whether it be his own gift or someone else's, a person who steals a Brahmana's property will take birth as a worm in feces. Feces means stool. For 60,000 years. Name Brahmadanam Bhuyad Yad Gridvalpa Yusho Naraha Parajitaschuta Rajyat Bhavantyudve Dvijinohayaha. He's saying that I do not desire Brahmanas well. Those who lust after it become short-lived and are defeated. They lose their kingdoms and become snakes who trouble others. And then he's saying like that. My dear followers, never treat a learned Brahmana harshly, even if he has sinned. Even if he attacks you physically or repeatedly curses you, always continue to offer him obeisances. he's saying. And then he's saying that, just as I always carefully bow down to Brahmanas, so all of you should likewise bow down to them. I will punish anyone who acts otherwise. Like that Krishna says. Lastly, he says, when a Brahmana's property is stolen, even unknowingly, it certainly causes the person who takes it to fall down. Just as a Brahmana's cow did to Driga king. He's saying. So unknowingly also one shouldn't do that. One should be very careful. Having thus instructed the residents of Dwaraka Lord Mukunda Krishna, hero of the worlds, entered his palace. So now one important point in this. So all this was about stealing property of Brahmana. How is it relevant to us? For example, in our Pune temple, once we had given something like 200 or 250 receipt books for raising funds for Janmashtami. But then when you collected back, only 150, 160 came. And then when we again made announcement, another 30, 40 came. So 200 came. But 40, 50 books are not coming. At that time, I spoke from this section. Immediately, everything came back. All the receipt books. Now you understand the application? Bhagavatam application in our real life. Everybody understood that we can't be careless with Krishna's money. So one devotee was telling me, Prabhu, I don't know, I have two pockets. In this pocket I keep Krishna's money. In this I keep my money when I sell books. Sometimes they get mixed up. I said, if it's mixed up, give your money and that money both to temple. That is safe. Because in the name of mixing up, if you take little money of the temple for your personal use, you are getting into a danger zone. It's Brahmaswam, it is called. Brahmaswam means it's Krishna's money, Krishna's wealth. Actually, Krishna's money and Brahmana's money are non-different because Brahmana is a property of Krishna. See, why Brahmanas are compared to the head? See, the head has the eyes to see. Similarly, the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas can give vision to society. Did Prabhupada give vision or not for the whole world? How we can lead a happy life? He made a house in which he is giving vision through his books. Shastra Chakshu is giving. So the Brahmanas have the vision they can give. And the Brahmana and the head has got the ears, which means they can listen to the problems of the people. They are good listeners, mature listeners, and they can understand what is being spoken. And the nose represents smelling. They can smell the grievances in society. Prabhupada says there is a pinprick in society, Prabhupada writes. What grievances are going on in people's lives, they can very easily understand. And they have the mouth. Mouth represents giving good advice. They can give upadesh because Brahmana means he studies Shastra and speaks Shastra. So he has the mouth. So all this eyes, mouth, nose and ears, they are all in which part of the body? Head. Therefore head is called Brahman. And why Kshatriyas are compared to the hands? If any object falls on you, how will you protect yourself? Say there is a bureau falling on you, what will you do? Which part? You will do like that? Which part you will bring to protect yourself? Hands. Immediately. That's why they are compared to Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are meant for protecting the body from any this thing. Even somebody want to shoot, how do you shoot? You shoot with the leg or with the hand? Shoot with the hand. Therefore the hands and shoulder compared to Kshatriya. Immediately defending the body. And Vaishyas are compared to the belly. Why? Because when the food goes to belly, it digests everything and sends to blood to all different parts of the body. Similarly, the Vaishyas, whatever money they have, they give charity to Brahmins. And they give tax to the Kshatriyas. And they give food, clothing, shelter to the Shudras, other people. So, therefore, the Kshatriyas are compared to the belly. It makes sense, isn't it? All the parts of the body get the nourishment from the belly, like that. And the Shudras are compared to the legs. Why? Because the legs serve the top three. For example, the head, the trunk of the body and the hands and the belly, all are carried by whom? By the legs. So the Shudras assist the Brahmanas in bringing firewood or sometimes, making that yajna kund and everything, making, organizing, arranging things like that. Physical activities they do. When they go to Kshatriyas, they become foot soldiers in the battle. When they go to Vaishyas, they work in their businesses. Basically, Shudra means whatever you tell them, they will do it. You tell them, keep this there, they can keep it. You don't expect them to think. They don't think. They are not thinkers. They will only do what you tell them to do. That's called Shudra actually. So, in this way, in the Vedic times, the one Brahmana and 9 Kshatriyas, 90 Vaishyas and 900 Shudras constitutes one village. If you take a village of 1,000 people, how many Brahmanas? One Brahman. Brahman means one who follows the scripture, studies scripture and lives by scripture, accepts God, aligns with God, acts for the pleasure of God, acts on behalf of God. It's a Brahman, ideal Brahmana Vaishnava. See, sometimes Brahmanas are demigod worshippers, some Brahmanas are jnanis also. They are impersonalists. But many Brahmanas are Vaishnavas also. Brahmana nam sahasrebhyo satrayaji vishishyate satrayaji sahasrebhyo sarva vedanta paragah. Sarva vedanta vitkotya Vishnu bhakto vishishyate. See, this verse says, amongst all the Brahmanas, one who recites the mantras properly is greater. And amongst those who recite mantras, one who knows the meaning of mantras is even greater. And one who not only knows the meaning of the mantras, one who applies it in his life is even more greater. And even more greater than him is a Vedanta Paraga, one who is expert in the Vedanta Sutra. And amongst the Vedanta Sutra experts, like there are Brahmanas who recite the whole Taittiriya Upanishad fully, without even seeing the book. They are very experts. Some of them know the meaning also. Some of them are learned in Vedanta Sutra also. But amongst them, the greatest is Sarva Vedanta Paragaha. Sarva Vedanta Vidkotya Vishnu Bhakto Vishishyate, he says. Vishnu Bhakta is greater than even a Vedanta Paraga. And amongst the Vishnu Bhaktas, Ananya Bhakta, Kevala Bhakta, Shuddha Bhakta, who has no material desires, he is the greatest of all. So, in this way, such people, the more a person is higher and higher, the more he has to be respected and with great adoration, and he should be given honor and respect as per the Shastra, because they become closer and closer to Lord as they become dearer and dearer to Him. So, in this way, this verse talks about how Prithu Maharaj welcomed all the Brahmanas and he gave them a seat of esteem to sit. While the Praja was sitting in front of him, so he gave them instructions to Praja. After giving instruction, he turned to the body of Brahmanas. With folded palms, he asked them, now you all have heard me what instructions, Upadesh I gave to the citizens. In case there was any correction that needs to be done in my speech, or in case you wish to give me some other advice, or if you wish to advise the citizens, anything more than what I spoke, because my knowledge is limited and you all are Agada Bodham, you have oceanic wisdom. If you want to tell them something, you can tell. So then the Brahmanas, all of them clapped hands and said, Sadhu, Sadhu, well done, my dear king. You are a perfect king because you are a strict follower of the Vedic principles. You are a surrendered servant of the Supreme Lord, and you are always obedient to the instructions of the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. We all are very pleased with you. May all your wishes be fulfilled. May all the citizens follow your instructions and flourish in their lives. Like that, all the Brahmins blessed him. Just see, diametrically opposite is Vena, who was father of Prithu, if you see. Actually, he was a die-hard atheist. When these Brahmanas wanted to perform yajna, he sent, see, just one. What he says, Vena said, Na yashtavyam, na datavyam, na hotavyam, dvijaha kvachit, iti nyavaraya dharmam, bheri goshena sarvashaha, he says. He said, all the Brahmanas were forbidden henceforward to perform any sacrifice, and they were also forbidden to give charity and offer clarified butter. Thus King Vena sounded kettle drums throughout the countryside. In other words, he stopped all kinds of religious rituals. Just like sometimes the government comes and says, nobody can do Harinam Sankirtan in the streets. Nobody can distribute spiritual literature. Don't come to schools. Don't come to colleges. Don't teach any scripture. We will only teach them knowledge on how to make money. Just make money, eat, drink and be merry. Just enjoy life. And don't tell them anything about goal of life or the spiritual goals. So then that's an atheistic government, correct now? So in some countries, you are not even allowed to practice your spiritual life openly. You cannot practice. You have to practice hidingly. You have to practice. So there are sometimes the country can have a policy of atheism as its policy. That's a very unfortunate country, correct now? Or in the name of secularism, sometimes people are following atheism. Like secularism is not atheism. There is one college in Pune called Army Institute of Technology, they have a temple where they call it as Sarva Dharma Samasthal, they call it. Sarva Dharma Samasthal. So if you go to the temple, there are separate rooms in the temple. In one room, Christians can do their, activities, and Muslims can do their activity, Hindus can do their activity. Then they have got a spirituality club also. So if a group of, Hindus or Muslims or Christians want to have a club and then come to the temple and worship and have bhajans and all, they allow. And that is called secularism. Secularism actually means give equal opportunity for everyone to study the scriptures and lead a righteous life. That is actually secularism doesn't mean atheism. In the name of secularism, you try to keep God away. It's like a headless body. Have you ever seen a headless body walking on the road? Handless body, legless body can go, but not a headless body. Society becomes headless or brainless. So Prabhupada writes in Ishopanishad, a godless society is born of illusion. And the result of such illusion is lamentation, he says. Therefore, there is suffering. So Vena Maharaj was creating so much suffering for his people. See, therefore, all the sages assembled together, after observing the cruel Vena's atrocities, concluded that a great danger and catastrophe was approaching the people of the world. Thus, out of compassion, they began to talk among themselves, for they themselves were the performers of sacrifices. So, you will find Vena Raja was a diehard atheist, and he himself wanted all the Brahmanas to worship him as the king. So, you can see in the communist country, there was one fellow, I don't remember his name. He put his murti more than 200. 200 places he made his own murti and put and told people, I am God, actually you have to worship me. And the next leader who came, he arranged to break all of them later on. So you will find the man wants to be God himself. So they have the slogan, government by the people, for the people, of the people. So Prabhupada said, government by God, of God, for God, for Krishna. Actually, if a society keeps Krishna in the center, it will be a truly happy society. Like ISKCON. We put Radha Madan Mohan is our center. They are in the center, we circumambulate them, we sing for them, we dance for them. We study the Bhagavad Gita where Madan Mohan is speaking to Arjuna in the form of Parthasarathi. Correct, no? He is only speaking to Arjuna and giving the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. We hear it. So, we should study the scriptures and then take darshan of the deities. Then we will be able to appreciate Lord's role in our lives. So, in this way, when Prabhupada taught us how to lead a Krishna-centered life by chanting Hare Krishna, following the four agreed principles. So, our duty is to lead a life in accordance with that, and even as managers in ISKCON, there are managers and preachers. I will say a little bit about that and conclude. So managers represent which kulam? Brahma kulam or Rajakulam? Rajakulam. They are administrating the whole society. And the preachers who study the scriptures and just repeat, they represent Brahma kulam. They are preachers. Yeah. So now, sometimes what happens, the preachers say that, see, managers are all having a controlling mentality. Therefore, they have been given some administrative roles. Because they like to control the living beings. Like that, who criticizes managers? Preachers. Those are only preachers. And the managers tell that this person can simply give classes, but he doesn't take any responsibility in ISKCON. He is not a president, he is not a vice president, he is not even a HOD. No responsibility, simply just he can keep reading all day and just speaking. They are useless fellows. They consider preachers useless because they don't take responsibility. So is it a good consciousness? Wrong consciousness. So if you want to learn how managers and preachers in ISKCON should treat each other, we should read the meeting of Swayambhuva Manu, going to meet Kardamamuni in the forest. Kardamamuni is a Brahman, and Swayambhuva Manu is a Kshatriya king. So as soon as he goes and offers obeisances to Kardamamuni, Kardamamuni returns obeisances to him. And Kardamamuni tells Swayambhuva Manu, oh my dear king, kings like you who board the chariot and travel across the globe with bow and arrow in your hand, you subdue all the sinful people and thieves and rogues and scoundrels. You don't allow the irreligion to flourish. And you are establishing dharma all over the world. We Brahmanas are very grateful to you. Like that he says. And Swayambhuva Manu tells Kardamani that you are a storehouse of austerities. You are a storehouse of purity. You are a great devotee. And Brahmanas like you are performing such a pure lifestyle. And because of your blessings and your purity and influence, you are keeping the whole globe auspicious, Mangalmay, you are keeping. And without your advice and guidance and direction and vision, kings like me will become blinded by wealth and wine and women. You will get spoiled. You are actually protecting Dharma. Like that, he is glorifying. So, this is the way managers and preachers should glorify one another, each other. So, the preacher should say, Prabhu, you are managing temple so nicely. So, we are able to come and start so many Bhakti Visha programs. We are able to start. Thank you for maintaining the temple very well. And managers should say, what is the use of maintaining a temple if there is no preaching? It's like a booth bungalow when there is no preaching. It's a hollow temple. Imagine some temple you build a big, like football ground, you make a big temple. Nobody comes there. What is the use? Some temples are like that. You have seen that they put a machine, ding, tong, ting, to ring the bell. They don't have anybody to chant and dance. So the manager should glorify the preachers who bring devotees. And the preacher should glorify the managers who are managing the resources like money and the donations and the temple construction and the facilities for preaching and everything. So mutual. So therefore, the Rajakulam should not subdue the Brahmakulam and the Brahmakulam should not curse the Rajakulam. That's the main lesson we learn from this beautiful verse. So every purport of Prabhupada has some very vital lesson to be learned like this. And little by little, every day we keep learning one good lesson. Small drops of water make an ocean. We will get an overall picture of what Lord expects from all of us as jivas. Shri Prabhupada ki, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Ghar Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much. Ask Anand Prabhu, would like to add anything? Give the mic to him. I can be here for 5 minutes. If anybody has questions, you can personally meet me, okay?